this opportunity to introduce the creative genius behind The Rise of the Fallen. Any idea who's the author? All of you know that, right? Of course. A man of many talents. While you may know him as a producer, actor, director, Abhishek Krishnan is not just that. Okay, now let's move to our esteemed chief guest for the day, the maestro of Indian cinema, Hansal Mehta sir. He needs no introduction, right? But he definitely deserves a standing ovation. Okay, now let's dive into the realm, the magical realm, the rise of the fallen. The biggest question is...
I'm very, very flattered. I have never, I never would have imagined that I would be sitting with you, sir, and Abhishek. You are a rising talent, and I am sure that you'll reach heights. As I told you, passing the baton of mythical tales. So we'll be just talking a little bit about the book and basically about writing and stories and myths in general. So if you guys can, take the mic. This is a small interaction, and followed by that we have Q&A. So if you have any questions, definitely think about it prior, and then we'll take, I think, probably 3-4 questions by then. So yeah. So Abhishek, I'll start with you. So what made you write your first book?
So I've been a storyteller in various capacities for the past decade. I've been an actor. I dabbled in writing, directing, producing, did all of that for a while. And I was very fascinated by the idea of creation, building, development, and I like the idea of taking the initiative rather than always waiting for something to come to you. And then the pandemic hit, and we all know how that was for all of us. It wasn't the best of times. You're just stuck at home. You're consuming excessive content. Is only input, right? You're watching, you're reading, but there was no vent. There's no creative vent at all. And that's when I just had this bizarre idea of this world that I wanted to create from all my inspirations. So I thought, why don't I just put them all together, see where it goes, and then that's what actually gave me some kind of purpose and drive through COVID. I would wake up at 5 and sit there to write. Gave me some sense of passion. I remember even when I actually had COVID, I would pop dolos, and when you pop dolo, you have this brief window when you feel like the fever has subsided, and then I would quickly jump and write a few lines to feel a little fulfilled. Okay, aaj kuch to kaam kiya, and then and then feel terrible again. But I think that was a very exciting process, very fulfilling process, and besides that, no one was giving me 300 crores to make a film out of it, so I thought let's
Wonderful. Hansal sir, what is the first thing that you wrote or created, and what drew you towards it, that particular subject?
Couple of things. One, I'm a lazy writer, so I usually trouble writers a lot. I make them write for me. I've written very early on in my career. I wrote some short stories, which I film. I write primarily to film, and I wrote a film called Ovato. So that nobody was willing to write, so I sort of had to write because there was a deadline. I had to submit the script in 2005, and I had no choice but to write. And the film got made in 2017. So 12 years after.
How long did it take to write?
2 days. They wanted it in 2 days, and I lied to the producer saying the script is ready. So that was my. So writing came more out of compulsion. But otherwise, I always marvel at writing as a discipline. I'm a reader, I'm a voracious reader, and I find writing an amazing discipline. To just sit down and write those pages and to churn out, For me, writing is about having that discipline of churning out an X number of pages, day after day, day after day. I must have at least 15 incomplete scripts and books on my desktop which I carry around, which I sort of make as a retirement plan. That, whenever I retire, I will finish all this. I will publish books and I will sell my scripts. But I don't see myself retiring at all.
And you shouldn't, of course, because we would be,
one more thing, the question that she asked, that what would you like to see in Bombay?
Yeah.
More bookshops.
That's true. Round of applause for that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think is essential. It was an amazing culture that the city, and a big part of our city's culture, bookstores. Like I remember when I was in school, there was a bookstore on SV Road called Wellington Bookstore. We used to go there, hang out there. But all those spaces are gone. Lotus Book House, which was at Reclamation. We used to spend hours there. I mean, that's where the first set of Khana Khazana emerged from. The first set of recipes were chosen from there. They're sitting there looking at the books, and they never stopped you from sitting there and reading those books. And it's dying. I mean, we are ordering it online, reading the synopsis. I find that great progress, but also hindering the joy of experiencing books. So great that there is a bookshop in such a big space that is still alive and kicking in the city of Bombay.
Oh, lovely words, sir. Thank you so much for those words. And so, Abhishek, to you, how did you kind of mix? Because with how much I've read your book, it's a mix of kind of mythology, myths, legends, with modernity. So, how did you come up with those ideas? Like, what? Tell me a little bit about the process so that would love to hear.
So, I mean, I was always a fan of mythology, Hindu, Western. I read a lot of Amar Chitrakathas growing up. Marvel comics, I watched the Marvel films. I'm a big fantasy fan generally. And I think it started off with what if and why not. Like, you see all of this happening in New York City. So I was like, why can't it happen in Amchi, Mumbai? It started off with that. And it's just picking up and just pushing that boundary a little further each time, right? I would think about the fact that what if Satan, who was like the first fallen angel, right? What if he conspired with an asura to take over the city of Mumbai, starting a revolution against the gods? And amidst all this, there is this 26-year-old hyper anxious copywriter working in an ad agency, a Bombay-bred boy, who's caught in the middle of all this, right? And anxiety also is something that I think a lot of us deal with these days. So amidst everything, a very simpleton like him, he's caught in the middle of this celestial warfare. It's to say that all of this is going on, so it could happen to anyone like you, me, anyone over here. So then, what would the outcome be? So it was many things like this, right? It's almost like, if it's almost obvious. The most obvious thing is if an asura were to come from hell to earth, the first thing he or she would do would buy a Mithai Vada Pav. Because it's like, why would he not? Right? He doesn't get Vada Pavs in hell. So it's things like this, like why not? What if? Why not? What if? And I think all these things just somehow came together and it became what it is. Yeah.
One of the good things about writing, fusing modern and mythology, is that in today's times when you have to be very careful about making political statements, it's a great way to say it and also make it look like a fantasy, because it's fast becoming a fantasy.
But what's your relationship with myths as well, sir? Like, what's your relationship with myths, legends?
We've grown up reading myths and legends and imagining they are the founding the foundation of your imagination, of your ability to look at the world not in such flesh and bone. They transport you. So I grew up with that. I mean, Amar Chitragatha, of course, was, but so much that we read, so much that we travelled. Whether it was with Tintin or whether it was with the Mahabharata, whether it was with Asterix or Obelix, or whether it was Mad Magazine. You always traveled worlds. I always imagined myself as Tintin. Traveling into time, into a place, finding things. Indiana Jones always fascinated me as a character until they made the last part. I think mythology is the basis of all our storytelling, and we have such a rich heritage of mythology, that I'm glad, writers like Abhishek, you, and newer writers are embracing this form and giving it a new twist. Otherwise, it leads to stagnancy. The same myths are repeated, and we keep upping, we keep making that past a part of our culture. I think the importance of reinterpreting, reimagining, and creating myths. That is what fascinated me to this book. How about a gangster story set in Mumbai gangster story, but it's not Satya. And it's set in a mythical time. The victory of good over evil, which is the story, cop versus gangster story, but it's set in another time. And I think that is fascinating. That you take a myth and you sort of connect it to the world that you're living in. That's what we do all the time. We're living in Mahabharata. We are being forced to believe it's Ramayana, and we need more myths.
Any project that you are working on regarding myths?
Well, like him, I don't get enough money to make my movies.
Lovely. Okay. That's the hope. So let's hope that any producers looking out there, please give these talented guys some money so that they can write great.
Because the mythology I'm working on right now is Mahatma Gandhi. He's fast becoming mythology for us.
Oh, yes, that's the next.
He's becoming mythology because people almost believe that he did not exist.
Yeah, so a lot of mythical elements in the book, Abhishek, especially angels, right? So how do they play a significant part in the book? Because I write a lot of on Hindu myths myself, and I'm a Christian, by the way. So it's something like, how did I believe you are Hindu, right? Yeah, you're Hindu. I was just confirming. But yeah, so are you writing in the angels? So that's very interesting. Like, what was the dynamics? What do the angels play a significant part in the book?
I think again, coming back to what all I was fascinated by, I am fascinated by your angelology, as they call it. So whether it's Western mythology, Hindu mythology, Greek, all of it alike. So I've taken kind of bits and pieces from all of that. And I think the idea of angels, it's basically that what if the concept of fallen angels comes in the Bible, right? Satan, the first of the fallen, has been sent down and then he's kind of banished into hell. And I thought, why can't that be integrated with these other elements? You've got celestial offspring, celestial parents, which is something that is there also in the Mahabharata. You see the Pandavas, each one has a celestial parent, right? So that element is there. Asuras and Rakshasas, that element is from Hindu mythology, and angels, of course, is from. So the idea was to bring all of it together. It is the concept of hell and heaven exists, I think, throughout, wherever you go. The idea of good versus evil, that is something that exists throughout. So why can't you just take bits and fuse them up together? And more than that, also, it was a great way. It was kind of the inciting incident, a great way to begin the story, because the fallen angels, they kind of they are in cahoots with the Asuras and Rakshasas, and the gateway of hell opens and they unleash themselves onto Mumbai. So the story begins from there. So it felt like a great way to start the book.
And what messages or themes you would like the readers to take from this book?
That's a deep question. No, I think that there'd be two things to this. One is, as an artist, I think just the effort that it takes to create something, write something, it takes a lot of courage to get yourself to that thing and look at a blank screen. Nowadays you're looking at blank screens, right? So to be able to take that first step and actually write that out, and then more than that, beyond that, go out there and publish it. So just I think if people can take away that you just need to do, just keep doing, and hopefully from there there will be some kind of a snowballing effect, and it will manifest in some way or the other. So that is one from that angle. Besides that, I think from the narrative perspective, I think there's one recurring theme, which is the idea of belief, right? So I think that's something that I would like people to take back. Sounds like a generic thing, but it's still so hard to get around when you want to get something done. Just having belief, having all the belief to pull through. That is something I think it would be great if. So the central character Rinat, he is this purposeless 26-year-old guy who is meandering through life, and he suddenly realizes that he has a bigger role to play in this world, in this universe. So how does he step up and live up to the responsibilities that destiny has kind of carved out for him? More importantly, I think it goes to say that no one ever is like inconsequential. Everyone has a role to play, whatever that may be, so no one is inconsequential. So that is one thing. And I think for me also, I was coming out of a time when I was feeling like, you know what, where is my life heading? And eventually there is always the light at the end of the darkest of tunnels. So that's something.
Very. Also, sir, it's there's so many important points that he has made. So it's very tough for young artists to get their voice out there. So what would be your advice to the young artist out there? Who might be, this will be covered everywhere. So anything you would like to give inspiration?
I think it's just doing, what Nike says. Just do it. I think that is important. Doing is so important. Very often we think, why am I not a writer? Because I haven't done it. You sit there, it's a lonely job. You sit, you write, you stare at a blank page, you feel sometimes, you revisit what you've written and say, terrible. And then you go back and write. You write, you rewrite, and that, I think that sheer discipline is what every artist needs. To never give up, to continue doing. That is important. And of course, it needs, ultimately it needs a patron. As a publishing house, what you are doing, it needs many more such people to bring that work out. Every piece of art has an audience, whether it's one person or a million people. I think we have to write it for that one person first, which is yourself. Do it for yourself. You're the first member of the audience. You're the first consumer. You're the first reader. Do it for yourself. A million will follow, but continue doing it. Don't give up. If you can read what you've written, then your first audience is already there.
And Abhishek, last question, guys, then we will open the floor for Q&A, and if you have any questions, we'll take a few of them to Hansal sir as well as Abhishek. What are your ambitions with Manwaan? Like, what's the plan? Rise of the Fallen say, what's the plan?
I mean, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that I want to make it, the largest mytho fantasy franchise that India can take to the world, hopefully. That's not too ambitious. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And movie, कुछ हो रहा है मतलब?
हो रहा है मतलब होना चाहिए. That's the.
Okay, great, wonderful, guys. Q&A. So, sir, I believe can we have another mic? I'll just give my mic calls. Yeah. Abhishek. Yeah.
Filmfestivals.com. Abhishek, the question is: Bhoot, Jinn, Paret, Ghost, Angel, Diane. I don't think many of us know even the difference between them. And of late, there is a rising fascination for films and books and literature and everything about these extraterrestrial things, if you like to call them. What do you think has prompted this? Is it the fact that reality is so harsh that one wants to delve into the unreal or the celestial? And the second part is that now that 3 years have passed since COVID, you'll be able to raise 300 crores, I'm sure.
I'll start with the latter, second part. I really hope that comes true soon.
I hope you have some connection with the genie or something. So.
Genius.
3 magical wishes, so my first wish will be 300 crores. No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head that reality does get hard, and I think we deal with it on a daily basis, and I think as storytellers also we like to live in the bubble that we do. So there is a sense of wanting to escape from it, going into that. One is that. Secondly, also I think as people grow old, as storytellers also age, they tend to also go back to their roots for inspiration. That's what I feel. Because I think when I was young, I read the Amar Chitrakathas, but then there was a huge gap after that. When you're in your teenagers, you're being all rebellious and stuff like that. I just do what I want to. So you're not really. I think you're not looking for any further inspiration. But then when you hit a block in your life, then you start going back to your roots. Like I very recently, after that, years ago, but that's still recent compared to when I wrote the book. Read the Mahabharata, read the Ramayana, tried to read a lot of Devdutt Patnayaks and these kind of things which I would have never read when I was young, as often, except in the form of comics, Amar Chitrakathas. So I think it's both of that, escaping reality, yes, but also going back to our roots, a combination of those two. I don't know if that makes sense.
A small follow-up. Till about 20 years ago, the Central Board of Film Certification, as it is called, had a clause saying that any film that promotes belief in supernatural, magic cure, fantasy, total celestial fantasy and things like that, not Shiri Farhad and all that, will be banned, not allowed. Now you have such a spate of films with this subject. So is it something that was bottled up all this time and suddenly exploded, you think, or is it some other phenomenon?
No, I don't think it was bottled up. It's just going back to the previous point. I don't think there's any sense of rebelling to that idea. So I don't know. Is there something you want to?
Hansal Bhai can add.
This particular clause I was not aware of.
Yeah, even I
was not aware of. I made my first film 27 years ago, maybe because I haven't made films on these themes, but I was not aware of this. And yeah, I mean, I think it's come from this, I think Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, that has really given rise to this. People have realized that there's a business model that exists. It's ultimately a business. And I think that has led to this. I think everyone was fascinated. We watched our spectacles and enjoyed them since we were kids. But I think now it's come closer home. The British, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, all this has taken on popular imagination, and all of us feel that there's a franchisable, potential for all these stories, which is why the Ramayana is being made with major stars. The Mahabharata is being made. We are retelling these stories, and as I said earlier, I'm glad it's being reinterpreted, and there is a newness. We're telling the same stories.
Thank you, both of you.
So, I'll be, yeah. Okay, so, please. What's your name also?
My name is Tanya. Congratulations, Abhishek, on this amazing launch. My question is, I think mythology is something that's unique in that it's very personal to all of us, but it's also very universal. All, like Sir said, read Amar Chitrakathas. We all heard our grandparents tell us stories of various mythologies. And I think because there's so much oral storytelling in India, a lot of it has been passed down and not a lot of it documented and captured, written anywhere, which is what makes it fragile. Did you ever, when you were writing, think about the fragility and the sensitivity of the topic and how it would be interpreted, or did you just not go there as a storyteller?
Oh no, definitely. Like my initial idea was to make gods come to Earth, but I'm like, oh, that's going to be
Can't do that.
a dangerous thing to do. So let's just do like inspiration, celestial offsprings. It's not the gods. Gods are there only. We're not disrespecting the gods, so no one can oppose the film. No, definitely I thought, because I mean for me also, I come from the world of film, television, my ambition is to see it on the big screen. Many people said that even when they read it, it's written almost like a screenplay. That was the first remarks that I got in the first draft that I sent out. They were like, it feels like a screenplay. So there had to be a learning curve around it. How do I make this not a screenplay and more of a novel? Because there is no audio visual cues over here. It's just the words that is. So I mean, yes, I did. Very conscious about that.
Hansal ji, there is a very thin line in his script, in his stories between reality and fiction. You are on the realistic side, so would you even consider making a film on his?
No, I'm fascinated. As I said, I'm fascinated. I would love to explore these themes and adapt the book if I'm able to. And these are things that, it's one of the boxes in my journey as a filmmaker that I've yet to take. And I really want to do that. It's a gift for my children, for my grandchildren. Telling these stories that are fantastical, that are transporting them into another world. So yeah, hopefully one day that could happen. And I think with the birth of streaming and not having to rely purely on theatres to bring in audiences, to be able to tell this in a longer format, I think that has opened up greater possibilities. So maybe it's not a fantasy for me also.
I just want to say that it has been officially documented that Hansal sir wants to adapt the book. Headlines.
Congratulations, Abhishek, and this book really sounds like a labor of love and imagination. So I have a very fun question adding to what Hansal sir said, that it will be made into a movie. So, which is your dream star cast? Like, who did you imagine as the main character? I think the readers want to know that.
Let's play this game and offend everyone.
I cast myself. No, why can't I just? No. I don't. I obviously had faces, and I had. So for me, in terms of a process as well, when I write, I need to have faces to it, right? But there are faces from all across. They're not from here. They are people from my daily life.
You need to be an integral part of the movie.
Huh?
You need to be there for casting.
Absolutely. somehow I have to find my way into it. But no, I'm not really given that any thought. I think that really needs to. Yeah, no, I can't be just like SI of that as I've spoken about.
That gives us an imagination power.
Yeah.
The readers can imagine.
Who do you think? I mean, have you read the synopsis?
I read the synopsis and you said Satan. So I think the one person that comes in our mind is Ranveer Singh when we talk about a villain who is, a lovable villain. That's the one that comes in our head. Or maybe from KGF, Harsh, Yash would also be a good option.
Just Satan is not too lovable, just to kind of post it.
I think our readers, morally grey is our favorite color.
Just to answer I'm his dad. He also had my face as one of the characters. but hopefully it's not the evil character.
So, Kiran, you...
So I was about to ask, but I think the beautiful lady actually asked the question about the mythology thing. But the second question is that creative people in journal gets to a point where they're creatively exhausted, which is also called a creative block, by the way. So how is it that all three of you, because all three of you in the creative direction, how does you overcome it, or you don't even think about it? How does that go for you? I think we've started from
creative block. Very important part.
I think I have answered that you have to keep, creative people should not feel ashamed of procrastinating. You should not be afraid of taking a break. You should not be afraid of being seen as doing nothing, because you're never doing nothing. And that is the freedom that art is supposed to give you, and that is the freedom that art gives you, to be doing nothing but yet doing a lot. And I think, and don't take it too seriously, that if I'm free and I'm thinking about my story, I think the clues come from the simplest of things, from the car on the streets, from the person that you meet, from the food that you eat, from the sky, from the stars, from everywhere. It will come someday. And so I think to have faith in the process, that being blocked is as crucial to the creative process as it is to doing. I think that understanding is very important. I've learned the hard way, but now my wife doesn't complain that I'm lazing around.
Kevin, you are a very well-known author yourself. What made you choose his book?
That's a good one. That's a good one. And to be honest, that comes from, that's why I asked you this question also, which is when I saw angels and asuras, fighting each other, and I was like, yeah, ye interesting part lag raha hai. Never have I seen this kind of fusion. I think that was what piqued my interest. So yeah, absolutely. I think last question, I guess. Last question, no repeated question. By the way, I think the man or the boy, the man boy in the back.
The man.
Yeah. No, I believe, yeah, I've seen you on the television as well. I mean, good. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Viraf. The man boy is called Viraf. I have a fun question and a serious question. I'm going to start with the fun question. It's amazing. We have three fantastic storytelling minds from different walks of life and different mediums. Hansal sir, Kevin, you yourself in your own right. I have a question for all three of you. And what propels you to tell stories, each one of you? Is my first question to all three of you. Abhishek, it's your book launch. Maybe you should start.
I think to be able to two things: to live out fantasies that I could not in real life, do things that people would otherwise throw me to jail for. One is that, and this may sound a little narcissistic, but to be able to play God, where I create the world, it's my rules. No one can tell me that this is not how it should be. No, I decide how it should be. So it's a little bit of a ego kick. I'll admit it's a very much ego kick. And escaping into fantasies, doing absolutely horrendous, incorrigible things that one would not accept around here. I hope I didn't scare anyone.
What propels me to be a writer? I think I'm not really good at anything else. So, I kind of realized that that's the only thing I'm good at. And I thought, let's just do this only. I tried doing screenplays also, by the way. I tried to enter the Bollywood industry as well. मैं 2 महीने में निकल गया. हो गया. So I'm a happy novelist. So yeah, that's.
I have a very simple reason to tell stories, and that is to overcome my shyness. I would rather talk to people, rather socialize through the stories that I tell. I would rather be known by my stories than by who I am, because I think the reality is not as good as my stories.
You have a fun question.
Yeah, fun question.
That was the fun question, now the serious question.
Oh, okay.
My serious question is, what role did Palak have in your journey as an author?
This could take a while. She's gone running behind. Look at it. By the way, Palak is my fiance. I'm her fiance. We have
Marriage is in February?
Feb.
February, so everyone's invited, by the way. Just,
So now that I know, I've seen her aunt behind. So she's a niece of my classmate from school, Annie, who's right there. And, so I was wondering what you were doing here. Now I know, and I have spoken to Palak, who's a writer in her own right, a very good writer in her own right. So yeah, congratulations to both of you. More congratulations.
No, like Sir said, she's a fantastic writer. She's been doing it for a long time. She's trained, and I've read her work. It's just incredible. I think she always keeps me in check. That's one thing. I'm talking about generally in life and otherwise also. She's always one keeping me in check and always pushing me. This entire event also, putting it together, being that pillar who kind of, she's almost like gravity, right? She pulls everything and makes sure Earth kind of is held together. So she's got that force. She's really a force of nature. So I think overall, that's kind of the thing. I could go on and on, but I think let's keep it to
Great guys, thank you so much. If you have any other questions from Hansal sir and Abhishek, you can definitely ask once the event is over. So thank you. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's a Sunday well spent at a bookshop launching this book, and I think just seeing the turnout is encouraging that there are people who still read, which is wonderful. People who read beyond Instagram posts and tweets. So it's wonderful to see everyone turning out, and I wish you all the best, Abhishek, and hopefully this will become a film. But don't stop writing, and don't write to make to have adaptations. It's become a new thing, and what I always tell writers is that everything doesn't need to be adapted. There's a joy in reading. Every time somebody talks about adapting Salman Rushdie, my heart breaks, because what is on paper is so fantastic, and what comes on screen is so limiting. So let the pen be your best weapon, and may you keep writing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hansal sir. As we near the end of our event, let's express our gratitude to everyone who made today's morning possible. Abhishek, if we are eagerly waiting for your words of thanks and reflection for everybody.
I don't know where to start from, but first off, majorly, thank you so much, Hansal sir, for being here. Having a respected filmmaker who I admire so much to be here supporting a first-time author, I think that really means a lot. It's very, very reassuring, so thank you so much. My parents, my family who've been there with me, they've stood by me, seen it all. The best family I could ask for. NuVoice Press, Kevin Misal, Simon & Schuster, everyone for making this dream come true. Publishing a book is like the toughest thing to get done. And these guys really made it almost a walk in the park. And I think they need to be more people need to be extending this kind of support to authors. Divyang, for supporting the book and doing everything in his power to make this a success. Thank you so much, Divyang. It means a lot. And it's been a really, really long journey, and strangely I can say that it's only begun, right? And when it does get tough, I'm going to literally remember this moment when all of you turned up on a Sunday morning. Like, well done, a round of applause to you all. I have some of my colleagues here, and often at lunch we talk about how on Saturdays, Sundays we just become couch potatoes. That's all we want to do. We want to do nothing else. So, and I'm sure that's the same for all of you after a tiring week. So thank you so much. Really means a lot. And I have to say the best for the last. I kind of spoke about this a little earlier, but I think it's worth revisiting. She's been instrumental in putting this event together, and she kind of really made it her own. She's a fantastic writer, and I think that's why she really understands the struggles, the journey that a writer makes. And not to mention her ability to leave a lasting impression, maintain relationships, and see a vision come through. All of these elements have really played a major role in making this event a grand success. So please, round of applause for my fiancée. I'm a lucky man. I'm a very lucky man. Thank you so much. And once again, just really humbled for all of you to be here. I just want to leave you, I think, with one small thing, if I may. This has been addressed several times, but no harm in bringing it up again. As a budding artist, I think of any kind. The world tends not to be the kindest place. Not always, but maybe more often than not, getting something started, getting something out there, I think it becomes almost demotivating, discouraging. I'm seeing a lot of artists over here, writers, filmmakers, directors. I mean, it's amazing to kind of have this support, but I think we all know that the struggle is real, right? And I think if everyone, like you have this morning, can just extend that hand of support and pick up that one book, pick up that one painting, watch that one play, I think if you show that kind of support, that slight sense of reassurance is what will help us come back to the page, or come back to the stage, or come back to the screen. That goes a long way for all of us. For all the artists, please continue doing this. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good day. Thanks so much.
For those of you who want to take
Whatever I am. Could you tell us a little about the rise of the fallen?
I'd like to say that it's a cultural fusion. It's got different elements of mythology coming together. You've got elements from Western mythology, from Hindu mythology. All of this kind of fuses in together, angels, asuras, rakshasas, but all set in a modern context in a city like Mumbai. So you literally have, say, an asura and an angel conspiring to take over Mumbai, and you've got this 26-year-old copywriter who is caught or embroiled in this entire chaos. And then what unveils is what happens. So that could happen to any one of us, you know, like how it happens in New York City, why can't it happen in Amchi, Mumbai? That's the.
How long did it take you to write this?
I wrote the first draft. It took me about 6 to 8 months to get the first draft out, and then I just did my own thing of. I mean, it's called self-publishing. We just put it out there, and you figure out a way. And then I think about a year or so later, Kevin's company, NuVoice Press, came on board. They picked up the book, and now it has a new life. It's seeing a new journey. So I think end to end could be about 2 years maybe since the time I thought about it, and yeah.
What made you pick up this book?
What I really liked is how the angels and the asuras kind of came together, and there was a fusion of different myths from all over the world. And I think that is what really interested me into it, and that is why the reason I picked up. And plus, I always bet on the author more than the book. So I took a bet on Abhishek. He's a very vibrant and a very energetic guy. So yeah.
Hansal ji, it's so nice to see you here. For a realistic filmmaker, this is a work of fiction. So tell us what excited you about coming here and supporting us.
The work that we do is all born out of fantasy, and we look at mythology as a way to sort of expand our universe, our mental universe, our imagination. And I'm glad that this writing is being done by younger writers, that they're embracing this form, that storytellers like us can sort of aspire to make a fantasy which is not necessarily steeped in the past, a fantasy that is steeped into that merges the past, the future and the present. So yeah, I mean it's amazing. Abhishek is a talented writer, and just to be here to support him in this endeavor, I think it's my honor.
Sir, any chance Rise of the Fallen will be made into a OTT show or a film by Hansal Mehta?
I'm always hopeful that good work finds a larger audience, and that this book finds an audience that is visual. Particularly myths have great visual potential. So I hope that this gets made, and I've already put my hands up for the rights. So hopefully we are able to make this happen.
The $1 million question: which role do you envisage yourself playing? Because you write stories like screenplay.
When I started writing off this book, I tried to stay as close to home as possible. So you start with the lived-in experiences, right? So you can write honestly, you can really feed off those instead of writing about a character that you don't really know about. So I think I'll have to say it'll have to be the central character, because a lot of the things, the way he leads his life, the way he makes his journey, was inspired from the thing that I went through, right? It's just easier when it comes across as more honest, I feel. So definitely the character.
Being an author is one thing, supporting authors is another. How do you manage both the roles?
I don't. It's very hard, and but I try my very best to actually be there for all the writers. I know how tough it is to be a writer out there. I know how lonely the job is, and I think if Abhishek has friends like me and I have friends like Abhishek and Hansal sir as well, I think we all are supporting writers out there, and yeah, so I think that's great. That's how it should be.
Any last words, Abhishek?
Buy the book. Please buy the book. And please let me know what you think. I'm really eager to know that. Good, bad, ugly, whatever your thoughts. Please let me know. And of course, like the way Hansal sir showed up and supported, please go out there, support first-time authors, playwrights, screenwriters, actors. Please just show your support, and whatever you do, little will go a long way for them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.